It doesn't have a lot of stage presence once it's gone. The lights are up and the lights are off, and I think that she's gone. Well, you're in the Gunners Club with us, with Gunner, of course with Soos, and the bar is open. It's been a while since we've actually tried and imbibed something, but we've got a couple of Japanese, some of the best. So, I bought a gift recently for a friend of mine, and he's really involved in the Japanese culture. He speaks the language. Bought him a bottle of Suntory, and I explained to the man at the bar, I want a bottle of something from Suntory because I want people to recognise what the brand of it is. It's pretty much like, I think, why Johnny Walker is so successful worldwide.
Yep.
People know if it's Johnny Walker, this is what it's cost, and this is the amount of esteem that you're giving me. I've done you a favour, mate. I've lent you my ute for the weekend, and you give me a bottle of Johnny Gold. I know what it's worth. So Suntory, something like that. He told me a fantastic story that very one I bought for him from Suntory, he caught a cab in Tokyo, and the cab driver said to him that was his favourite of all the Japanese whiskies. So that's a great thing. That's what recognition is all about. So with that in mind, and with the Suntory Toki already open, what do you think we have a splash of that?
Well, I think it would only be fair.
Be criminal not to.
So, the one that we have here, and the Suntory do come in many variants.
That's right.
This is the particular one that we have here at the moment. So we're going to have a splash of that, and then we're going to compare it to a new addition to the bar.
Yeah.
Which I was lucky enough for it to be gifted to me for a milestone birthday, which I'm very appreciative of.
Now, for me with whiskey, it used to be about the colour, but in Australia when we used to have colouring put in on the very cheap ones, and now even on some of the more expensive whiskies you'll get some caramel colouring added in, so it really doesn't belie how much time it's spent kissing wood. It doesn't mean a great deal to me, but having said that, they are not afraid to go fairly blonde with that, Soos. So it's interesting, isn't it, with whiskies with the sweetness. If I'm looking for something Scotch, I'm always after something that makes me think, that makes me pause. For you, Soos, with the Irish, you're always after something a bit more refined. But let's see what we've got.
I like things more refined, as you know.
You know what? I could get used to that. It's not as smooth as what I would have expected. I'd cut it with a bit of water or a bit of ice. It doesn't have a lot of stage presence once it's gone. The lights are up and the lights are off, and I think that she's gone.
To me, this may almost seem blasphemous to some of you whiskey aficionados out there, but to me, this tastes like a rebadged Scotch. There's nothing Japanese about this at all.
The problem is, if you have a look at the amount of grains that are purchased to produce whiskey in Japan, you realise that they actually physically can't produce as much as what they claim to be made there.
Yeah.
And there are the claims of Scotch being sold, but because of the fact that it's Suntory, I would argue this actually is a Japanese whiskey. The other thing I like about this too, it's a 43%. If it was something that was set at the tax level of 40% and it wasn't Suntory, I could probably go to that way of thinking.
Look, it's not. I would not knock it out of bed to get to you, right? But still doesn't beat a entry level Irish.
No, I agree with you on that. Now, Soos, as we get ready for the next one, I went to the cinema the other day, and I went to see a science fiction film called Mickey 17.
Oh, okay.
Don't know if you've heard about it. Mark Ruffalo was in it. I sort of like him.
I
can forgive him for the Incredible Hulk. I actually quite like his acting. Toni Collette, our Australian heroine, was in it as well. This is a film that died on its arse. So the budget was something like 118 million. It made about 130 million at the cinema.
Yep.
Which meant...
barely covered cost.
Well, if you think about what you take, you only get about 50 cents in a dollar.
Yeah, that's true too.
The rest of it you share with the theatre. Within 18 days, it actually had to go to pay-per-view for TV. One of these things that was so out of time because it was written in a time when people were really completely full wokeness, and it was a time before Trump was back in power. So we thought that Trump was out and all of these feelings were gone. But effectively, coming back in as a 47th president, it really hit the wrong time and hit the wrong market. So effectively you've got a religious group that wants to settle the stars, and they were trying to take every Trump trope and use it against them. It fell flat. I hope this one doesn't fall flat. This is a Kyoto. So Kyoto, the old capital of Japan. So important that during World War II, when they were deciding which of the two cities to bomb, and I'm not saying that to get a laugh, one of the deciders said that he honeymooned in Kyoto and he wanted to preserve it because it was so beautiful. But that's a piece of Kyoto tapestry there, and it's named after that as well.
Isn't that a gorgeous bottle? Look at that. And, I mean, that almost feels like silk.
Yeah, I can believe it.
That is gorgeous. Now, this also has considerably more colour.
You know, there's nothing really beautiful about watching silk being produced. I've been to a silkworm factory in China, and it dispels any illusions of glamour that you might have.
Well, let's knock the top of this off and see what we get.
Okay, well, Kampai.
We only just opened this, so I have no idea what to expect. I was told that this will be comparable to the Irish type of whiskies that I like.
Okay, so we're expecting triple distilled.
Oh, well, I have no idea about distillation. I'm talking about the taste profile. See, that's a totally different smell to the Suntory.
This is a very unique beast, so it has nothing to do with an Irish whiskey whatsoever at all. It's as smooth as an Irish. Definitely. A little bit more butterscotch. Very, very different. The nose is completely peculiar.
Creamy.
Yeah, almost creamy. Hence the butterscotch.
Compared to that which is very spirit-based.
So this is definitely a blend. Yeah, it's a blend. Vanilla-like
Wow.
aroma.
Okay.
So I wonder where you are with buying Japanese. For me, my go-to is usually a Scotch. I think the monkey shoulder for Australia.
You won me over with that.
Since word caught on it just how good it is, it went up in price about $20 a bottle. Yeah, it certainly did. Is that good? Again, you've got the vanilla notes of it, and I think it's just so smooth as well for a Scotch, a bit more interesting. I do tend to venture a little bit further north with the Speysides, etc.
Yes, you do.
Your roots are firmly planted in Ireland, but would you turn to a Japanese at the shop?
It will by all means have a pride of place on the bar.
Yeah.
However, I've got to have a second sample. This is much more easier to drink than a Suntory.
Absolutely. For me, it's just so different. I wouldn't buy it for that reason. I'm just not used to it. And I guess it's part of what your palate is, what you expect to get from it. For me, the quality is definitely there. It's just a very different animal.
It is. It is completely unexpected and not traditional as I would have expected for a whiskey. You know what? For my money, I had a look because I'm just like that.
You had a peek?
Yeah, I did. It's about on average because, you get it from discount liquor stores and this and that, but it averages out anywhere from $130 to $99. So we'll call it $110.
Sure.
All right. I'm not entirely sure what that's worth, but I can't think that would come in anywhere over 80. Mm-hmm. The Jameson entry level, that's about 70 as well.
Yeah.
For 110, I'm trying to think what I have there. I can't compare it to the Red Breast because that's like 140 now. 150.
For me, around that price, you're getting something like a 12-year-old Glenfarclas or a Highland Park, which is such a good investment, and that's where I'd be putting my money. But you know what? If you've got a friend like I did, who is a lover of Japanese culture and is invested in it, these are great gifts. They make great gifts.
Of course
you
they
can't
do.
go wrong.
Yeah. Oh, look, and even the presentation of that, honestly, that is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right. For my money, if I had $110 to spend, I'd still buy an Irish.
Yeah. For me, Glenfarclas 12 or a Highland Park, and you'll thank me for it later. What's your favourite tipple? What do you put in your glass? And join us next time. Make sure your glass is full.
Ice is optional. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.